Rightio, last cab off the rank. So one of these guys is absolutely useless with technology. The other one is a 4-year-old. The bloke at the black back is my dad. He's worked for 50 years. He's worked his guts out to provide for his family, and he's done a fantastic job without the need to Instagram, Skype, Canva, Xero, just about email really. Hamish at the front, the rat bag, he is at preschool, likes trampolines and bedding up his 3 older brothers. There was an interaction between these two the other day that really fascinated me. It got me thinking about technology, the way we interact with technology, the impact it has on us today and into the future. They were sitting down in front of a computer at home and Dad was trying to show Hamish a video. The sound wasn't working, so Dad was just bashing away on the keyboard like a monkey with his face about 2 centimetres from the screen and nothing was happening. Hamish reached up from the right, just below him, put his finger on the icon, the volume icon, and tried to slide it to the right, and nothing happened. It was a desktop, so obviously nothing happened. These two had found themselves on either side of technology. Neil had no idea, and Hamish was confused because, well, why aren't all screens touch screens? Now, I wanted to tell that story quickly because over the past couple of days, we've heard some fantastic technologies and the impacts they're having across industries. What does that change look like for agriculture? What do we think it looks like, and how will we interact with that technology into the future? And what are the costs of finding ourselves on Neil's side of technology? There's a quote which I think is quite relevant today. It's related to major positive changes in society. It goes along the lines of, once a very simple but difficult change is made, no one in their right mind would want to go back to circumstances prior to that juncture. It goes on, in every age or every year, we have a tendency to believe that we've come so far that there's no way to improve the present system, and that when the Wright brothers flew at Kitty Hawk, they probably thought that that was the ultimate in transportation. At Agronomeye, we believe that the simple but difficult change we need to make is going digital from the ground up, literally. If we can digitise the ground we work on, the fields we work out of, the sheds we work out of, the roads we grade and the dams that we pray fill up, then we are playing a completely different ballgame. Hamish will only know how to work in a digital world, so we need to digitise that world for him. So this is a look at how we've gone about making that change. First, we have to capture the data in a way that allows us to view the world at farm scale. So you can see here the resolution. We're inside a dried creek bed on a 500 hectare property. This is a digital foundation or a digital twin, as we've heard before. You can see the resolution of the data, and we need to go and capture that data in the first instance. We can use planes or we can use drones. When we're using drones, we can capture 3 centimetre resolution data at 1,200 hectares in a single day for a single team. That gives us scale and allows us to be inside this digital world, or this opportunity to present this in a digital space. Now, as you can see here, as the video progresses, it looks fantastic, but it's what comes next which is the most exciting part. We are now living in a digital world, which means every square centimetre of the farm can be accounted for. Buildings, roads, trees, fields, water, whatever it is that you want to digitise, you can digitise. It creates a modern blueprint. What's next? Well, traceability and provenance have been major discussion points across the last couple of days, and digitising these elements of a farming operation can only make that more viable. And what about putting on a headset, AR or VR, and venturing out to a far-flung corner of the farm without leaving the office? You could collaborate or inspect parts of a corporate operation with stakeholders from around the globe, a Zoom meeting inside the field. Virtual farm tours for those looking to buy and sell are now an opportunity as well. This will all be a virtual reality once we can create this digital foundation. This is a vineyard, Tyrrell's vineyard up in the Hunter Valley. You can see the level of detail as you fly through. Now, getting that foundation in place is the critical first step and will help us plan and track across an operation. But it's the ability to model and analyse which is where the real benefits begin to rear their head. Because these 3D models are so detailed, we're able to run predictive models to identify specific characteristics directly related to the productivity of an operation. There's another video. This is a look at the hydrological flows across an entire farm. Through a commercial partnership with CSIRO, we can provide a farmer with a map to help determine catchment locations, erosion risk, or inspect surface water drainage. And you can only do this at farm scale if you have that high resolution data from that digital foundation in place. I had a discussion with a research scientist working in sugarcane recently. They were trying to establish accountability for nitrogen runoff in the cane industry. Using these models, we can clearly identify which properties are having a direct impact on the local environment and which ones are not. And what's next? What about frost modelling? So combining terrain data with weather data to better assess frost risk will help with a range of management decisions. Just last month, the farming mate of mine was hit by frost on the same day his ewes began lambing. Early predictions are they lost 15% of lambs in 2 nights. So can there be alerts for frost for particular fields, which will drive management decisions to move those ewes out of those fields and into one of lower risk? Fruit from citrus growers is turning up in foreign markets dry because of frost. Can we use these models to better plan and develop orchards or vineyards to mitigate risk down the line, being proactive and not reactive? Now, it's great that we have the capacity to identify issues or inefficiencies, but what about improving or changing for the better? Technology needs to go beyond the finger pointing, and because we have this incredible level of detail, we can also look at what needs to be done in a virtual world before we bring it into the real world. So here is an example of an irrigated cotton grower up in far north New South Wales. They had an area of their farm. We just took that portion of the data they were looking to analyse. They had an area of the farm that was configured in 1970. It was 5 fields, very small fields, east-west irrigation, south-north irrigation, inefficient. They wanted to redesign that part of the farm to go 2 fields, south-north irrigation. They tell us what they want. So they wanted a 1 in 1,500 gradient. That meant there was going to be a 30 centimetre fall across this data set. We can tell them that on a 1-for-1 cut-fill basis, from the data, they will need to move 134,118 cubic metres of earth. They then take that to their earthworks contractor, they get a quote, take that quote to the bank, get financial feasibility, bring it onto the farm, improve in the virtual world before bringing it onto the real world. Now, everything I've shown you so far is looking at things retrospectively, analysing static data, but this technology will be just as powerful looking at the here and now, the live and ever-changing information that is always on the field. And it's been captured by a number of fantastic sensor and IoT companies out there as well, and we're working with these guys to integrate their systems onto our platform to increase the power and the impact of all technologies, not only in a visual sense, but how do these technologies collide? How do they collide to drive management decisions, and where do they collide? I can't imagine it's too long before in-field sensors are driving automated decision-making. Or further analysis to build a deeper understanding of the environment and the effects it's having on productivity. Think of soil sensors in the field going above or below a certain threshold, triggering satellite imagery to be overlaid in the virtual world to understand how the environment is having an impact on your productivity. We're seeing some pretty significant developments as well in the animal tracking space. We've heard of some of them today. Visualising patterns and behaviours in a virtual world to help better understand pressures and trends will only create a clearer picture for farmers to drive decision making. And jumping into the IoT space will be inevitable. The power of the information is simply too overwhelming to resist. Now, we've always focused on the 3 pillars of our product, which is capture, analyse and deliver. I've spoken about the capture and the analyse part, but the delivery of the data is absolutely critical. Putting this information in the hands of the right people in a way that they already know how means this is not another farm management platform, a standalone platform, forcing those in the industry to make a choice or jump between a million different apps or tabs. We want this experience to be open and integrated, to sit in behind existing farm management softwares that already exist, to complement the technology. We are doing this in a way that breeds collaboration at farm scale as well. So an owner of a property that has their digital foundation in place with all their management decisions and all their analytics in place, they can then share that with workers in the field. They can be the ones that drive all the decision making at the top line and then have a collaborative effort on the farm to make impact and drive change at farm level. Now we're at this strange juncture in the relationship between humans and technology that will probably never occur like this again, and in no industry is that more evident than in agriculture. You've got people like Neil, who are still very active in society but grew up without technology, invading every corner of his existence, and as a result he's fairly disconnected from this digital world, and you see this in farming and in agriculture. You've also got people like Hamish, who will never know what it was like to drive onto the Sydney Harbour Bridge, stop at a toll booth, drop change in so the boom will lift, and nor should he, because no one in their right mind would want to go back to those circumstances. Neil will continue to have a positive impact on society without the need to rely on technology, while without technology, Hamish is doomed. And we think it's because of these conflicting examples, it's important to recognise that the adoption of technology in agriculture should be fostered in and not enforced. We need to give those that have worked their land for generations the tools to be better today, and offer those tools in a way in which improves their existing day-to-day operation, but continues to have an eye on the future. And that's what we have as a vision for the Digital Foundation, a fundamental data set that allows for positive change to be made today, but also to grow in relevance as both technology and industry matures. Thank you.